So they have I don't know. So that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm doing a magazine.
Yeah. Well, how's that going?
Great.
Has it been more work than you thought it would be?
It's fucking easier than I thought it would be.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks great.
It's super easy.
I mean, and it's all digital.
In today's world, I could print it, but printing's just expensive. And like, I'm not.
And it just eats up advertisement dollars?
Like, I don't make money on it.
Yeah.
I could if I like was the focus of making money. Like if I really wanted to make money on it, I could.
Yeah.
And then I could use that money to get it printed. But I'm like, do I need to do that?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if printing is the future.
I mean,
I get Pizza Today and PMQ, and I'm like, oh, great, Pizza Today, PMQ, trash.
Yeah, no.
And then I just go read it online.
Yeah, like if you want, you can just get.
I've never picked up a Pizza Today or PMQ magazine and been like, holy shit, I'm going to use this in my business. I'm always like, oh, fuck, it's a little bit slow. Let me go to PMQ Pizza Today and see if I can see any information. And I go on there, and I'm like, there's fucking nothing here.
Yeah. Fuck, dude. Well, I write in those publications, so sometimes
yeah, but
there's some juice in there.
Sometimes you got to be like, well, no, that was you've been writing recently.
Yeah, past year.
I'm talking about like when I was operating.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Are we
recording this?
There's a lot of fluff in those magazines. I don't know how helpful a lot of that stuff is.
I think it's
for the ads, you know.
Totally. That's why I'm not doing a monthly magazine. I'm doing a quarterly magazine because I think
it's smart.
I don't think you can do, it's a lot of work to do quarterly. Like even now with our quarterly time crunch, like we have to get the articles by a certain time to get like the editor to edit them and then send it back to the person to okay it. And then we have to get the designer time to get it all together. Mm-hmm. And even doing it every 3 or 4 months, that's still like a struggle.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can do content that's good enough. It's like doing a daily podcast. Like if you did a daily podcast, would it be as good as a weekly podcast? No, because you'd be like always on this hamster wheel of like, all right, who can we get next? Who can we get next? Who can we get next? And there would be no waiting to see like, is this content good? It doesn't matter. Let's just get it out.
Yeah, you'd just be putting people on to be putting people on.
Exactly. And I think that's what they do in the magazines. Like they just write stuff to just get it done to make sure that they have enough ads in there and content to support the ads.
Well, yeah, you know though that those magazines have been shrink like they're smaller and smaller. Yeah. And there's more ads in there than there is articles.
I think the last couple of Pizza Today and PMQ magazines. Well, mine was only. My last art magazine was only like 50 pages, but I only had like 5 ads.
I mean, 50 pages is great. I would say 25 pages of great information.
Yeah.
People fucking get all their news from TikTok and Instagram. So it's like, I ain't got time to read.
No, exactly. That's what I want to do.
Where's the reels?
Yeah. I want to make sure like HP, so if you read something, you're like, all right, I got something out of that.
It's weird because like creating community in Los Angeles and like having this community has been so awesome. But being in the pizza community for as long as I have, it doesn't feel like that, like maybe on a nationwide level. Every time I've gone to Expo, you know, like it can get very cliquey and stuff.
Does, yeah.
You know, you talk about inclusivity and like having your publication. Basically, if anyone hit you up and was like, "Hey, I want to write an article," would you be like, "Okay," or like send me stuff?
I would totally be open to it.
Yeah,
I would be open to receiving your stuff. I'm not saying
you're going to get published.
Right. I would totally be open. Pitch me an idea. Like, what do you think the idea would be? A lot of people have pitched me and said, hey, I want to write an article for your magazine. I'm like, great, do it. And then they send me their life story. Yeah. And I'm like, this is great for you. But like somebody from the outside reading this, are they going to be able to use anything in this in their business?
Yeah.
Or are you just telling your story?
Isn't that kind of like a bad podcast too, when somebody just goes off about their story?
It depends on what the story is.
Yeah.
Right? I guess it depends on what the story is. If the story is just like not interesting and it's just about like their daily life and nothing of it is value, then it's pretty boring. But if their story was like struggled to open the pizzeria and like had to come up with money and figure it out and there was all these problems that happened, that's a learning
you're right.
podcast, I think.
Still could probably be 10 minutes though instead of 40.
True.
45.
Yeah. I generally hate, I know every podcast, everybody's like, hey, tell me your life, like, how'd you get started?
Yeah.
And I fucking hate doing that. I don't know why I
do
that. I just
do
like,
it.
I think it's just like muscle memory at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've talked about it too. Like I'm going into my podcast with a little bit of research. And I think that like, if you don't have time or like you want to be fresh, like you've said before, like you kind of need that, like, hey, how'd you get started as a jump off point? And when I don't have time personally or there's not enough information about somebody online, I have to be like, so what's up?
Yeah.
You know, but it's dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm going to say right now, like if you come on this pod and you sit here for 45 minutes telling me your story, it's not going to be a good podcast.
Oh, I'll interrupt you way before 45 minutes. I'll let you go for about 5 or 6.
Yeah, you're like, okay, all right.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Let's let us throw a question in here. You know what? The other thing is too, like I do the podcast, and not that my podcast is big in any way, but a lot of people are nervous because it's like their first podcast that they ever done. Like a pizza guy who's been in the business and has never done any media or anything, and you're like, hey, come on my podcast. They're like, okay, like I'm nervous about doing a podcast. So sometimes that first question for me is to get them to relax a little bit. Yeah. When someone talks about themselves, they tend to relax a little bit, and like you'll see, I did a podcast recently with Andrew from Gianni's Pizza, and he has 5 locations. He started another brand. He has 2 locations, and when we first hopped on, he was like quiet, and like you'd ask a question and it'd be a 1-word answer. Yeah, and I'm like, bro, this isn't gonna work like this. You gotta like elaborate. Yeah, it's a conversation, not just me like yes. Like no one's gonna listen to that. Yeah. He's like, okay. He's like, yeah, I was nervous in the beginning, but then like I asked him a couple questions and we got into it. And he was fine after that.
Yeah. Like I've said before, the first time I ever came on your podcast, it was like, okay, I'm gonna go on Bruce's podcast and I'm gonna talk about all the shit I've done. Yeah. You know, and like that's what it was. It was like, I'm gonna use this as self-promotion. And I feel like that's an okay way of coming onto a podcast, but like there's got to be like a give and take. It's like more fun when it's a conversation. Totally. You know what I mean? Instead of being like trying to fit in everything that like I do all this and I make my own cheese and blah blah blah. It's like, does anyone give a fuck about that? But like,
unless they're trying to do it. Yeah. Right. And they want to like, and you're explaining how you do it. Yeah. I don't think anybody cares that you do it. I think they care maybe how you do it. Yeah. So if you make your own cheese, like when you came on the podcast and talked about your vegan cheese, a lot of people asked. Yeah. And like, and
I gave the recipe to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of people like, hey, how does he make his cheese? So I think people were interested in the fact that you do make it and like how you do it. Yeah. So I think that's important.
The podcast I did where I was like, dude, I got to fucking talk to you about this hot tongue situation. I got to come on and just warn people about that. I will send people to that podcast because like I can hear how fucking
that's one of our most downloaded YouTube videos.
Beat up I was.
It's got like 20,000 views on YouTube.
Everyone, you're welcome.
I did it. I cut it down to like, I think I did a clip of it of like it's only like 6 or 7 minutes. And it's like, don't open a pizzeria until you watch this. And it was all of your, like the issues that you had opening this place. Yeah.
Well, I want to get into some marketing questions.
All right, let's do this.
What mistakes do you see most pizza people making in marketing?
They don't do any.
None at all.
Very. Like, it depends. If you post once a week to Instagram, you might as well post not at all. I don't think anybody takes marketing seriously. They take marketing seriously when it comes to old school marketing. There's 2 different categories of pizza people I've noticed. There's people who have been in the business for a long time, pre-social media. And then there's like the new generation of people who have come into the pizza business with social media. Yeah. They've leveraged social media to grow their brand. And then there's those old school operators who are like, doing direct mail. That's all they did before. Inserted into the newspaper, and they're like, social media, I don't do social media. So I just think people don't do enough of it. That's the biggest mistake they make. They don't take it seriously. They don't have a system. They don't do any.
Do you think there's a best platform for businesses to be posting on?
I think it depends on the business. If I was to start a day, so I was on a podcast the other day and they asked me, what would you do if you were starting a market today? I'd be like, I would go to YouTube 100%.
You would go for a pizzeria, you'd go to YouTube?
100%. There's 2 pizzerias that do YouTube. You ever heard of Peddling Pizza? Have you ever seen that dude? Yeah. His YouTube channel gets like 20,000 views. And all he does is show what he does on a daily basis. And then there's this other guy who just live streams his pizzeria. He gets a lot of views. He's opening a 2nd location. That's all he does. If you go to his Instagram, it blows.
He's just live streaming on YouTube?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I would do YouTube. And the reason I do YouTube is because we always create content. And it's like, you create this great piece of content. Yeah. You put it on Instagram or TikTok, and in a week, it either blew up or it's dead. And you're like, damn, I spent all that time creating that piece of content.
Yeah, and it just sits there.
And it didn't do what I thought it was gonna do. You may get lucky and one will explode, but YouTube is the only place where you can like potentially have content be seen 2 years from now. people still, that podcast episode that we did,
Yeah.
how long ago was that? When did you open this place?
2 years ago.
So people still, that's still one of the pieces of content on YouTube that people discover me on. Like they go search on YouTube, like how to start a pizzeria, and that one comes up and they watch it. And then they go get into the rabbit hole of watching other content, and then they look on the website.
Is that because YouTube is kind of like a search engine?
Yeah, I think YouTube is the place where people go to look for information.
Yeah.
And Google owns YouTube.
Yeah.
So if someone goes to Google, same thing.
Instead of just like dead scrolling. Oh, that was funny. Keep going.
Yeah, I think you can do. If I had to start, I would definitely have YouTube be my strategy, because if you do longer term content on YouTube, you can take that content and like break it down for Instagram or for TikTok, but it's built on YouTube.
Yeah, I would probably just a bit more work to make long form video, but I guess not if you're just like fucking
And if you throw
live streaming yourself.
TikTok lives too, same thing. Like if you live stream on TikTok, that's another huge category right now that people aren't utilizing. People watch TikTok live and people just walk around the city and just talk.
Or Disneyland.
Yeah.
You see them all the time.
There's one in New York, guy just sits there in Manhattan, just walks around Manhattan, just talks to people on there on TikTok.
I'm not on TikTok. I feel like getting on TikTok is just, I don't know,
Why?
a black hole.
Don't consume, just post.
Yeah.
Just post the same things you post to Instagram to TikTok.
I was going to say, you think that's good just to post all your, like the same video on all 3 or 4 platforms?
I mean, it's better than not.
Posting it all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you already have it done, there's no harm in posting that to TikTok.
It's interesting how they all they react differently. Like a YouTube short, TikTok reel, Instagram reel, and on Facebook, like all of them, you can post the same content and one is going to do better than the other.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would post, if I was going for YouTube I don't know if I would post shorts to my long form channel. I feel like that shorts is like YouTube shorts doesn't help your long form content. I tried that and it didn't translate to views.
No.
So I just stopped. We just do videos on there. That's it.
Yeah.
If you want to do a shorts channel, I would probably do it separately. Even though YouTube says it doesn't, like YouTube says, if you watch a short, they will recommend your long form content. But just because they recommend your long form content doesn't mean that person that watched your short is interested in watching that long.
No, they're probably going to keep fucking going up.
Different type of person.
I guess it's the same question. Restaurants should pick. Oh, do you think that restaurants should pick just one social site to focus on?
To start.
Yeah, to start.
Definitely. Yeah. I think you should focus on one platform to start and be like, all right, I'm going to create content for Instagram, whether that be Reels. And then you can cross post that to TikTok, but don't like focus on TikTok.
Yeah.
Or YouTube Shorts or Facebook. Like I'm not saying don't post on those, but figure out Instagram. Like what works for you on Instagram, figure that out first. Because once you figure that out, it generally doesn't change that much.
Yeah.
And then you can move on to the next thing. Once you figure out how something works and what works well on there, it's not hard to continue to do it.
Well, isn't that just like consistency in like your posting and your content?
Consistency is the most important thing.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's like the magic.
People they email me all the time. And they're like, Bruce, my marketing isn't working. And then I go on their Instagram and they posted 3 posts in February. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why even bother?
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen if you post 3 times?
Yeah.
Do you think one of them is going to miraculously get 1 million views and all of a sudden you're going to get a huge influx of customers because you posted 2 pictures of your pizza and 1 of a happy Easter?
They might think that.
Good. That's more. I'm going to open a shop in their town because I'm going to post more than twice.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like, not everyone's food looks that great on camera, you know?
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah, that is a problem.
Why doesn't their food look good on camera?
I mean, it
does
might,
their
not,
food,
look,
if your
might
food,
not look good in real life.
I was going to say, how does the camera just shows you what your eyes see?
Yeah.
So if you're taking a video of your pizza and you're like, wow, that pizza looks like shit, then the customer is probably thinking that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you make a pizza that doesn't look good and sell it to somebody for money?
I mean, I see plenty of pizzas that don't look good that are selling.
Name them.
I'm not doing that, dude. Well, that brings me like you have kind of like switched gears in the past year or two with the memes.
Yes.
And we've talked about it before, but like, I don't know how much engagement that has led to the podcast or, for your marketing situation. But is that kind of approach, like, would that kind of approach be healthy for a restaurant to do? Like, if they were just like, oh, all of a sudden we're just going to be the funny guys.
I mean, Wendy's does it.
Yeah, but Wendy's in a mom and pop pizza shop is going to be too, like, Wendy's is everywhere.
True.
But like, say like I decide tomorrow to only post memes.
It depends on what your memes would be about.
Pizza.
Like how? Well, give me an example. Like, would it offend somebody, or are you making fun of customers, or what are you
Yeah,
doing?
see, like they would have to be. Because what you do is I would not be able to. I don't even repost a lot of those because it's like,
well, a lot of them are my memes on Instagram are meant for pizza
owners. Yeah, for sure, they're not meant for customers.
Like I wouldn't post what I post on Instagram if I owned a pizzeria.
Yeah,
because it would offend customers. Because a lot of them are like stupid questions customers ask or things customers say that are like, when we're behind the counter, we can't be like, that's a dumbass question.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're not going to put fucking tuna fish on our pizza.
Yeah, that's not happening.
No, don't even. Why did you even ask that?
Yeah.
To them, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So you defend them, but I don't have that problem. So I probably would tread lightly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta be funny though, because if you just like, there's two different thoughts when it comes to posting to Instagram. Some of them are like, hey, you should never post pictures of your food. And I think that's a horrible mistake because I look at my kids. My kids are 22, 21, and 17, and they're digital natives. Like they grew up in the digital era. They don't know anything else. And if they're going to go to a pizza shop, the first thing they do is go to TikTok or Instagram, and they're looking that place up. And if they can't see your food, they're going to go somewhere else that they can see the food. Like they're like, okay, I saw, you may have caught my attention when I wasn't searching for you with that funny reel you did.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm going to go watch if I'm looking to go get a pizza. If I go look to get a pizza and I go to your Instagram, I'm not going to look at what reel you did that was funny. I'm going to go look for the products that I want to buy.
Yeah.
So I think there has to be a balance.
Well, it's like the new Yelp. People would go to Yelp to see photos, but of like food.
Yeah.
My wife does the same thing. Like immediately, we're looking at a restaurant. She goes to their Instagram to look at the food.
Yeah. I think that's different though. Like you create content for Instagram with the hopes of that content getting placed in front of somebody that doesn't know you.
Yeah.
And that's how they discover you. If they are looking for what you do, there better be stuff on there that may not have done good when you posted it because it didn't get posted in front of people.
Yeah.
But it's still something that visually someone can go look at and say, hey, I want to order that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a balance.
Your socials should really just be hired out. I think it's like it's becoming more of a serious, like detrimental part of running a business. Like if this is what we are leaning on for all of advertisement and all of our marketing, like it's hard to put that in a pizza shop owner's hands.
Yeah.
You know,
Especially when a lot of pizza shop owners aren't digital natives like my kids are.
Yeah.
They're pizzeria guys who either worked in a pizzeria or worked in a restaurant and then opened a pizza shop and then like, all right, that's what they know. And this social media thing kind of came about as the next way of marketing. So I agree that you should hire out. I don't know if you should hire a company though.
No, but there's plenty of people just like that do digital content, like freelancers. I mean, obviously in LA, everyone's trying to do whatever the fuck. But I mean, like you can hire somebody that's like not part of a fucking marketing agency.
Definitely.
That's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. But like there's people that just do digital marketing for restaurants. They come and take your pictures. They do your posts.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking to people now that they just hire people to take all the photos for the month and then they do the captions.
How hard is that actually to do though?
Take the photos?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, I think the demand for great content is getting, like, I was talking to Matt. We're all just becoming content. We're just fucking, everyone's a content creator. But, like, the level of where your photos need to be at or what is expected of a reel or, like, anything is just getting higher and higher and higher to cut through everyone's fucking small attention span. So it's like, if you're getting left behind and you're just taking a photo on a fucking Android that's 4 years old. Like,
Yeah, that's a problem.
you know, like, or an iPhone, and you don't really understand lighting and whatnot. Like, I don't know. It's not as, it's easy, but it's like making pizza. You know, it's the easiest hard thing to do. And I would say that that's probably true with marketing too, because how hard is it? Instagram's free.
Yep.
You know, you can take a lovely picture if you know what you're doing, write a nice comment or caption and post that twice a day. And that should be easy, right?
Yeah.
It's not.
No. Well, so there's a place I just did a video at Mortadella Head, and they do videos, and they use an iPhone, and they do these videos where there's two owners, and they do explanation videos. Like they make like, what's your most popular pizza? Sicilian square.
Yeah.
So this like, all right, this is Alex. This is how we make the Sicilian square, and they just literally walk you through the process right on camera.
Yeah.
It's like 60 seconds long.
Yeah.
And that's a video, and they do that for everything they have in the menu. And one of their videos on TikTok went viral, got 14 million views.
Yeah.
And it was of like a chicken Caesar sub, and it doubled their business the next week, like doubled.
Yeah.
They had to hire a whole bunch of people because all the people saw that on
love
TikTok
that.
and like traveled to their location. They're in Somerville, which is like a suburb of Boston, right near Harvard Square, and a busy area that people travel to.
Yeah.
But it was a simple video, and they don't overthink it. They just go on the camera. All right, they have the ingredients there. They just put it together, and he's like, we have someone that comes in to record us, but they just use a phone.
Yeah.
And we do like 12 on a Monday, and we're done.
Yeah.
But it's not like editing, not super edited where it's just like, go. Record it on a phone.
Yeah.
And they just have a stockpile and they just post it.
But it was definitely edited.
I don't know if they're that much edited.
Yeah.
You'll watch it. Go on there. You link it.
I'll
put a
check
link
it out,
in, yeah.
but they don't film it themselves.
They have but they're like 50-year-old dudes.
They're 50-year-old dudes.
Yeah. So they have like someone that knows how to use the camera on an iPhone.
I'm saying, I'm agreeing that it's easy.
Yeah.
And you can make that content, but chiseling out the time, figuring out who's going to film it for you. Because like I could have somebody come in here and follow me around, and I could be making all kinds of shit and be like, this is how we do this. And that's great marketing. People love to see what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's just getting that person to come in. Am I going to pay an employee?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to end up editing it. When am I going to post it? I'm already doing a podcast this morning. Yeah. Like I got to pick my wife up at the airport. You know, like all the fucking things start going. And I think that marketing is one thing that always just kind of gets left on the table, you know? And then people are like, why aren't people coming in? And it's like, well, I mean, and I'm talking about myself. Like, how the fuck do I get people in here for lunch?
Yeah.
Dude, our lunches are dead. They're fucking dead. And if you looked at my Instagram, I've posted maybe 3 times in the last 2 weeks because it's just like, it's just one of those things that's like, that's going to be the last thing I worry about.
Do you have a day where you can come in here and just be like, why are the people who work in, and you could just record and just take a whole bunch of videos? That's what I would do.
Yeah. I mean, I could make that. I could make time for that.
And then Facebook
stockpiling.
Facebook has the creator studio that you can schedule it out.
Yeah.
And you just go to your reel and be like, all right, I have all of these videos in here. I have like 10 or 15 videos that are food related, right? And then if you don't have a time to post something, just schedule it out. The other thing that you can do is a post you did 6 months ago, nobody remembers.
Yeah.
Regurgitate that.
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Like a meme that I posted 6 months ago, I post again.
Yeah.
And it still gets views. No one remembers what you posted.
The attention span is small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's an ever-ending cycle. It's an ever-ending cycle of posting a piece of content, but that content doesn't have to be something you recorded today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it comes down to making the time. Again, I think I would be an anomaly because, I mean, the content that I'm going to shoot is going to look very good. I mean, we have a fucking lighting system in here. I have anytime we do make a reel, like we're spending the reels that we do make, the skits that we do.
Yeah, they're
fucking. You're looking at an hour and a half, 2-hour job easily.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 minutes to shoot, but then I'm sitting, and I should be getting, Adobe? Yeah, I should get Premiere or some shit, but I'm doing it all with my little fingers, like either
on your phone.
Yeah. And so that I can post it right away.
Yeah,
but
I use Adobe Premiere.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah, not for reels. Anything you
should.
see on Instagram, I just do myself, like on my phone.
Yeah.
But if I'm editing a podcast or a video, I do use Adobe. But I would do like one of those skips a week, like be like, all right, I'm gonna do one skit a week, and then the other ones are just gonna be food.
Yeah.
Food related. If you're getting customers, and like your goal is to get customers in the door.
That's the goal. That is 100%
I mean, obviously
the
you're
goal.
in business to sell pizza, like making people laugh is a bonus.
Yeah, no, I mean, and selfishly, those reels are like more for us and the staff to like fucking, and like we're
fun with.
We're also like most of the time making fun of the customers. It's just like, it's like your memes, but like a little, like you can miss it if you're a customer, you know?
So I would just have a day that if I was you and I'm busy, I would be like, all right, whatever day I can be in here that there's action going on.
Yeah.
For an hour or two, I would just record as much as I possibly could on your phone. You don't need it to be super great lighting. You don't need to overthink it too much for a reel. Because it's like,
no, you're right.
It's people overthink the process way too much. It's different than a YouTube video, or if you're a podcast, or if like creation of content is your business.
Yeah.
And that's how you make money. Totally different than if you're a pizzeria and you're like, all right, the lighting's not great, but this pizza came out phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the video is vertical, looks 85% good. I'm gonna post that.
Yeah.
Don't post if the lighting is great and your pizza looks like shit.
Yeah, that.
You know, but if the pizza
That's not a problem.
Yeah, if the pizza looks good.
Yeah.
And the lighting's I wouldn't hold back.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is too, is it's like having the team. Like I'll be like, if I come in here and I'm like, Michael, I'm going to shoot you making all these pizzas. He's gonna be like, ah, God damn it.
I wouldn't even shoot Michael. Just shoot the pizza.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm going to shoot your hands.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like George Costanza when he became a hands model.
He's got nice hands too.
Yeah, there you go.
What is the number one question people ask you when they DM you?
It's always about like, I'm slow. How do I get more business? How do I use social media to get more
I mean,
business?
they're like, people are coming to you like you're Jesus Christ. if there people are sliding it, like
I have walked on water one time.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I think that was in Florida.
It was.
Yeah, at Epcot.
Those alligators. I had to fucking get out of there quick. That's definitely it. Like, I'm slow.
Save my business, Bruce.
Yeah, pretty much. That's why I stopped doing marketing. You know, we used to do marketing. Like I had a marketing agent. We still have some clients that we work with.
Yeah.
That we worked with for a long time. But we used to onboard people, and the expectations for what they wanted,
And probably what they were paying for.
well, that's the thing. Like to pay someone to do marketing that's going to do a good job and have results takes money and time.
Yeah.
And everybody was coming to us and being like, I need business now. And it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Like you can't be like, I need business now. First of all, I have to vet your business, because even if you have a social media blow up, if your business sucks and you're not good at running it, that's not going to do you any good.
Absolutely.
Like, how's your pizza? What are the reviews like? How do you organize your staff? Are you ever shorthanded? How do you answer the phone? What does your online ordering system look like? Because all the content in the world is focused to push people there.
Yeah.
So if that system is broken, then fix that first.
Yeah.
Before you start spending money and time on marketing.
Yeah. Well, then you're at that point, you're like consulting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you're
what
like
I mean.
consulting their whole business.
And they want to talk to me. Like, I don't want to, like, not that I don't want to talk to them.
Yeah.
But like, I don't have time to sit with you and answer your questions for an hour or 2 hours a day.
Well, you do if it's the price is right. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I mean. But even that's like, the price could be right. Or like,
But it's
what
like,
is that?
I can't help
What was
you.
that movie where Bob Barker was like, the price is wrong, bitch?
Dude, that was Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, Happy Gilmore. That was great. It can't be right, because like if you're struggling, you don't have money.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You waited too long.
You either have time or money. Because if you're struggling for business and you're like, oh, my business is slow, you got fucking time.
Yeah.
Like, spend the time that you have that's slow trying to figure out the process to make it better and then get more customers. And if you're busy and you don't have time, you have money then
Yeah.
to pay someone to do it or hire someone to help you.
No,
with it.
you're right. You're right. We all like to make excuses though, you know?
We all do.
And then you run to someone like you and save me, or you beg Dave Portnoy to come into your restaurant.
Right.
Give me the golden ticket.
Yeah.
Fucking save me.
You know what? People are afraid to shut things down. I'm not afraid to like stop doing stuff. I've started many things since I've been doing this podcast that I was like, oh, this is a great idea. I'm going to do it. And then I started. I'm like, this sucks. Off. Not doing it anymore. People are afraid to like stop. Like if they have something on the menu that kind of sells, but it's like a pain in the ass to make, but they don't want to take it off the menu because, you know, the 7 customers a week that order it will get upset and ask about it, but they don't. It's only 7 customers who order it. And the process is they don't want to take it off the menu.
Yeah.
They're afraid to like make their business easier for them versus trying to please everybody?
Well, change is tough for most people.
Very.
Like, I mean, this whole marketing thing, the way the internet is, I mean, like social media is going, it's all like, it's rapidly changing all the time. I mean, fucking 10 years, we all might be wearing goggles. You know what I'm saying? Like
in California, you
who
definitely will be.
fucking knows,
Yeah.
you know, like, whether it's changing up your whole like menu or like taking, you know, half of it away, because everyone's always trying to do way too much, but I mean, it's tough.
It is. That's the second question I get. Like, what would you do if you were starting today in a pizza shop? I'd be like, my menu would be very simple. I'd have a couple pizzas, small footprint. I would probably leverage. I would make a pizza that would be good for delivery.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't start with delivery.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do Neapolitan because that sucks for delivery.
100%.
You know, it's just not a good delivered pizza. And depending on where you are, it's like, I don't want to be a restaurant. And if you want a small footprint with a small menu, Neapolitan pizza is not the way to go.
Yeah,
Because everybody has to come to you.
yeah,
And they want to deliver, then they're going to complain about it.
yeah,
I'll make a small footprint, couple pizzas, and just try to be the best I could be. And then leverage what I know from marketing to get the word out there.
yeah.
And I wouldn't call Dave Portnoy.
No, you wouldn't?
No.
Why do you think he's pizza's savior, dude?
I think he has a good following. I think he's like one of those people who,
Talk about marketing.
yeah,
Right?
he leveraged, he did a good job. Like if you talk about like his marketing, and I know we're going to get blasted for this, for talking about this guy, but he built up a following. And he
Yeah.
has people who follow him before pizza, and then he started doing pizza. And pizza's a popular food.
Yeah,
Pizza's like the #1 photograph thing on Instagram.
yeah,
So it's
probably like the
everybody loves it.
yeah,
And he just had a following. So people would watch his thing, and he's kind of abrasive in the way he delivers.
polarizing.
Yeah. So people watch it.
Yeah,
And then he just got in just a volume game.
yeah. Well, it's like crazy. I mean, don't fuck with the stoolies. They will fucking. We found out. We'll
Yeah.
come for you.
Really?
We've just posted Angelo Womack, one of my favorite interviews I've ever done.
Yeah.
He went fucking in on Dave Portnoy.
Did he?
Yeah. He said fuck Dave Portnoy, and he was like, this is how you get this is how you get Dave Portnoy to come in. First of all, like, and then he goes through the steps of like laugh like a little piggy and like leave
Did
your
you post that?
Yes, dude.
Oh.
And on every platform, like it did very well, but it was because like everyone's fucking engaging with it, and they're like, "Fuck you!" They're like, "Oh, what'd you just get a mic? This podcast sucks." Like,
Oh my God.
what was some other shit that was funny? They said it was basically just like people got very upset. It was more people like standing up for Dave Portnoy. It's like his following, his reach is real.
Yeah.
you know,
Totally.
it's wild.
I mean,
But I don't know. Like as a marketing guy, why would you lock your door?
why would I?
Yeah.
I don't want to be involved in that.
You don't want to. You just,
I don't want to be on either side.
Yeah.
You know, I'm neutral. You know, I like to talk about people always ask me why I don't talk about certain things. And I'm like, you know what? I like to talk about what I like to talk about.
Yeah.
And you're not going to force me to talk about something.
Yeah.
And you're not going to force my hand into doing something that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
So I will take a stand and I'll be like, you know what? I just don't want to be involved.
Yeah.
Like I have kids. I want to have an easy life, and I like to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if I don't want to be involved with that or talk about it, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. When you started your podcast, what were your intentions?
Oh, when I first,
Yeah,
so
because what year was it when you started this thing?
I think I recorded my first episode in 2014, and then it went live 2015.
Okay.
And my intention was like, I liked listening to podcasts, and I was like making dough or in the pizzeria.
I mean, this is like before podcasts were podcasts.
This
This
is
is fucking old. Like, I didn't even know what a podcast was until your podcast.
This was like early days when iTunes was like before. I don't even know if Spotify was a thing. I don't think Spotify.
I don't think it was.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
think
just
it was.
iTunes.
Yeah.
And it was easier to
maybe it
search
was.
for podcasts because there wasn't as many, especially like niche podcasts.
Yeah.
And my intention was I liked listening to podcasts, and I listened to a ton of marketing podcasts because I owned a business. And
Yeah.
I was like, all right, how do we leverage this social media thing to get business? And then I was like, there's no podcast out there. I think PMQ had a podcast, but it was like on an RSS feed embedded in their website, 72 pages deep, and you
Yeah.
could not find it. And then when you did find it, it was like on one of those, like, remember those old microphones that you used to have on like an IBM back
Yeah,
in
like the long
1982?
ones,
Yeah, it
skinny
was like
ones.
recorded
Yeah.
on one of those
Yeah.
with no modulation. It was just like
Yeah.
talking into the microphone, so it sucked.
They just started a brand new podcast
I heard.
called Peel.
Nice.
Yeah.
So back then, like that, I think they did the podcast first, but there was no pizza related one.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, if I have a podcast, I bet you I can invite people on the podcast and kind of like talk to them for 30 or 45 minutes about how they grew their business. Because my brother-in-law was my business partner, and neither one of us had a business background. We just kind of like grew up in the pizza business and we're good at it.
Yeah.
And then opened another one. But we didn't know how to take that to like the third or fourth or fifth location, which was our goal. And I wanted to talk to people who did. So I'm like, all right, who has 4 or 5 locations? How did you do that? And then come to find out, nobody fucking knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, we're all figuring this shit out as we go.
Yeah.
So it turned into like from me trying to figure out what to do to realizing that nobody really knows what to do.
Yeah.
And then I just continued to do it because I liked it.
Yeah.
And then it kind of grew from there. And then people would reach out to me for about marketing advice and helping them. And
did you still have your shop at that point?
yeah, for the first 2 years I did the podcast, I did both.
Okay.
I remember I interviewed Tony Gimignani,
Yeah, dude, Tony G.
and it was a Friday. He can only do it on a Friday. He's in California and I'm in Boston. And I had to go home. I was like at the shop working. I'm like, I gotta go. And I had to go home at 3:00, record the podcast, and I went back to the shop and worked Friday night.
Damn. I got to recheck that episode out.
I don't remember. I might have taken it down.
Do you love Tony G?
He's a good dude.
He seems like a nice guy.
I don't want to be. I like to do. The reason I did the magazine too is like, the Pizza Expo has their people, and their voices are very loud. So I try to avoid those people for my podcast, not because I don't agree with what they say. It's just because they already have a voice.
Yeah.
I want to talk to other people. I know what they say. I know what they do. I know what they believe in. It's like, how much more can you hear from those people?
Yeah.
So I want to find different people that are doing cool stuff that may have a different perspective that nobody's heard from before.
It's kind of interesting how that perspective, though, kind of like shapes a lot of things, or like the idea of things.
What do you mean?
Just the perception of success, or or like what it is to run a pizza shop, or like how you're supposed to do it. It's
when I first started my podcast,
Yeah.
I interviewed I literally went to Pizza Today and PMQ and be like, all right, who writes in here?
Yeah.
Let me interview them.
Yeah.
And then come to find out, half of those people are phonies.
Yeah.
Like, and by phonies, I mean like they write magazines about how to run a good business and they've had 7 business failures.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Why didn't you talk about that? Like, don't talk about how successful you are and what other people should do. Talk about your business failure and what happened.
Yeah.
And people can learn from that. And they never talk about that. And people look at them for advice and they're like, they don't know that that person had 3 businesses close.
Well, that was kind of like my problem. Like for starting this podcast, I think there was a lot of stuff that was never talked about. I think after going through what I did with Hot Tongue and the struggle that was, and people kind of like dusting it under the rug of like other situations that they have, everyone wants to think they're winning all the time.
Yeah.
Like you always have to stay with the W, but like it was such a loss, and like I'm still losing. And, you know, to hear that there's more value in that story about losing 7 businesses than you talking about your one successful one.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's kind of like the voice that gets kind of silenced, like especially at Expo. It's all about like, here, this is how we're gonna do it. This is it. This is how you make your dough. This is how you open a successful restaurant. This is how you expand. And I think for people with a lot of money or investors and stuff, maybe it is, you know, maybe, but for a mom and pop shop or somebody wanting to get like open, that is not the way. You need to know how fucked up it can get and how shitty it is. And that is not talked about.
I think I made a meme about it.
Yeah.
I made
that Uni one?
Yeah.
Oh God, that was fucking hilarious. And you know what? I think it would be refreshing too for me to talk to, because I talk to people that are like getting started or doing
100%.
Doing a pop-up.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if they were just like, yeah, this is just like what I want to do. But everyone kind of like, I don't know if they feel pressured or they want to lean into opening up a shop, but it is not for everyone.
No.
And I think that there's this huge surge of pizzerias opening and that will continue to open. But I do feel like in the next 5 years, I don't know how many will be left, or there will be some that like fall the wayside, because your first 2 years in business, I think, are the hardest.
Definitely.
And then, you know, even getting to 5 is going to be really tough. And like I just said, I said in a recent podcast, it's like everyone can make pizza, but not everyone's a leader. Like
Yeah.
wait till you have 8 or 15 people that you're taking care of, that you're responsible for. And that's not for everyone.
No, there's a huge burden to have on your shoulders to make sure, like, when you're clocking in as an employee, you're guaranteed. The government guarantees you're going to get paid because the employer will get in trouble if they don't pay you.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen when you're the owner.
No.
The government does not give a shit if you get paid or not.
They 100%.
As a matter of fact, they want you to pay them before they pay yourself.
That's 100%.
So it's a huge different burden to be like, all right, I need to make sure that I make enough money, not only to pay my employees first, and then the food, and then the taxes, and then whatever is left over, hopefully there is some that I get paid.
Yeah.
That's not for everybody.
No.
Like that's a huge burden that not everybody can handle.
No.
And the uni and Ghazni thing is amazing, but it gives everybody the idea that because they stick a pizza in that oven and it comes out okay, that they can handle that burden.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and then even if it is great and they have a great following and they do open up, like there's just things that people don't talk about, like sales tax, for instance, that you have to pay quarterly. You know, I've talked to people that just didn't pay it. They didn't know they had to pay it. A year later,
you don't have to pay it quarterly, but it's highly suggested.
Here you have to. There's a prepayment.
Oh,
every
really?
Yeah.
So where I'm from, you just get penalized if you don't. But I mean, I wouldn't suggest you don't do it.
It's just those kind of things that you don't really know about.
You know, depending on what state you are, the taxes are different. Like there's a 15% tax on whatever you make as the owner if you don't have like a corporation.
Yeah.
Because it's a unemployment tax.
Yeah.
That you have to pay.
The SUI tax or whatever.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, unemployment fucking went up too after COVID. I mean, like you pay employees a certain wage, but then there's $3,000, $4,000 in taxes every 2 weeks.
It's not always beneficial.
That's why people are paying people under the table.
I know.
And then you can't compete with that as an owner if somebody wants to go off and go rogue. And it's like, well, at my last job, they paid me under the table. And I was like, well, at your last job, like if something happened to you, they would have been fucked. Yeah. And so would you have been.
Right. That's not a good thing to do if you're an employee. Like it may be great for a short term, but that's not something I would want to do.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you can get just as much trouble as they can.
Yeah.
But that's something else. I do think that, you know, opening a pizzeria sounds fun and it looks cool on Instagram.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's definitely not for everybody. Being a business owner, like entrepreneurship nowadays with social media, it feels like everybody wants to be an entrepreneur.
Well, yeah, because I think it feels more accessible because like you get the instant gratification of like people liking and sharing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where it comes back, like with a home chef or somebody doing pop-ups. Like if you can get clout, somebody's writing about you and people are sharing your shit, like it's like, fuck, dude, I can do this. I mean, and sometimes, I know a lot of the times you can, but like it is that instant gratification through social media.
Yeah.
You know?
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to, I don't know. I think that sometimes I own 3 businesses and sometimes I want to be an employee because I'm always
100%.
working. You know, there's not a time that goes by. I went to go get my physical and the doctor's like, what do you do for relaxation? And I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't ever relax. My wife yells at me all the time. I'm always working.
Yeah.
But that's what it takes because there's never a time that goes by where it's like not a question or something you have to do or something you have to work on. And that's what it takes to be an owner of any kind of business. And
a good business.
Yeah. And people aren't ready for that.
Yeah.
They get that shit and they're like, damn, this looked way funner on the internet than it does in real life.
Yeah.
But if you can handle that and you're into that, like some people like I like it.
Yeah.
So I'm not overwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it's for everybody.
Yeah. Well,
I blame Uni and Ghazni.
For what?
For fucking making everybody think they can own a pizzeria.
Yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, though, they have shown that like a lot of people have and can.
Yeah.
You know?
Of what you see.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know a lot of people who try and they're like, this sucks.
Yeah.
And like they don't post that on Instagram, like you said.
I know. You only get the best of the best.
I did a pop-up and nobody came. Nobody popped in to my pop-up.
Yeah.
What the hell happened? Everybody on Instagram looks like every time I do a pop-up, there's 1,000 people. It's going fantastic.
Yeah.
So I think it's not, you got to like be ready for it.
Yeah.
And have I think low expectations is the key to life.
Oh, that's
for
100%.
everything.
That's 100%.
Movies,
Everything.
business, friendships,
The lower the expectation.
this podcast.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. The lower the better.
Yeah.
I mean, aim high, but be okay with the low expectation.
Listen, I guarantee you, the last time you went to a movie and expected it to be great, it wasn't as great as you thought it was going to be.
Yo, fucking Dune 2 was sick.
Dune
2
that might be the exception.
was fucking dope.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. I had to get there because everyone was hyping it up.
Did you read the books?
No, are you kidding me?
Me either.
I can barely read.
I saw Dune 1, and then I had to go to YouTube to watch a Dune explainer video, and then I went back and rewatched Dune, and I'm like, okay, that was good.
Yeah.
After I saw the explainer video.
That's definitely me. I'm like, anytime I go to a movie with Matt, dude, I gotta fucking Google what the fuck was this about?
Yeah. Give me the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking dog tooth, dude.
That's funny. I was going to talk to you about something. I would say, back to Pizza Expo real quick.
Yes.
Do you know how many people we were talking about, like, they should have more seminars about like failures? I think that's totally accurate.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people have talked to me about them going to Pizza Expo and having that same sentiment, but no one talks about it? They've gone to Pizza Expo and they're like, dude, my business is more successful than this person on stage telling me how to run my business. And no one talks about that. Everybody's just like, oh, this is great. And like, I'm going to go see these seminars, but no one, do they get vetted? The people who speak at those seminars to make sure that they have a successful business and like it's doing what they say they're doing. And hey,
No.
let me watch your presentation to make sure it's good.
Well, the Pizza Expo, like any other business, is a business. And I think that it's easy to be like, well, you'll be good for this and you'll be good for this. And like, all right, our work is done. It's like Cold Case when they say, all right, yeah, we figured out the murder, but it's like that's probably a bad comparison, but it's like, yeah, you murdered someone, but they lock up an innocent man. But
I get it's hard because,
but like, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of somebody right now, and I'm not gonna like name that. I've gone there. I went 2 years ago, and I was just like, you're talking like you know everything about this, and you don't like what you're talking about. Your Instagram, you have no engagement. You're spending all this money on. I probably was going to say who it is, but it just wasn't what it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like this, you're totally right. You have all these talking heads that are not the most informed or the best people to be up there talking about it. But maybe it's because it's easy, it's locked in. Pizza Today doesn't have to worry about it, and they just keep running it.
I don't know. I just feel like it needs to be when you're on a podcast or like a speaker at an event, you need to educate, but you also need to be a little bit entertaining.
Yeah.
You know, it needs to be a little bit of a mixture of both because you need to keep people engaged. Because if people aren't engaged, they're not going to continue to listen. Yeah. But you also have to know what you're talking about. And it's hard. And as somebody who like does a podcast, you can't vet every single person that you've been on a podcast with. It's always, they could lie. Yeah. And like not be truthful with what they're saying. So I guess it is hard to say, show me the numbers. But if you're speaking at an event like Pizza Expo, maybe they should do that.
Yeah, well.
Maybe they should say, hey, don't fucking talk about Instagram since your Instagram kind of blows.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to do that.
Maybe we should take that out of the presentation.
Yeah. Well, when the whole presentation is about Instagram.
I think that would lower your credibility, wouldn't it? If I said, hey, this is what you should do on Instagram. You should post every day. And then you go to my Instagram and I've never posted, it'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. Why would you say that to me? You got to have a little bit of credibility.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a little bit of credibility, but there's always, I mean, just even hearing from somebody talking about marketing new every year would be exciting. Yeah. I haven't gone to any seminars really.
Did you go to them at this year's expo?
No, we were on floor for competition and we only had like 2.5 hours. Okay. But no, I mean, I've seen most of them I've been going since 2016, and I've seen the show has not changed much since then. And a lot of those seminars are great. Do not get me wrong. Like, go check them out if you're a first timer.
For sure.
It would just be cool to go there every year and be like, oh man, this is happening. Like, I want to see what this guy has to say. Or like Young Pizza, is that what that you've talked to him? I think, is he in Boston? Juan Pizza. Yeah.
Juan Perez. Yeah.
Like, that dude has got fucking a crazy following.
He does.
And just I'd listen to that guy.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is how I did it, like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And because it's like, it's a little bit more familiar. It doesn't have to be all fucking business focused.
Yeah.
And like a PowerPoint presentation. Like, I'd listen to that guy for 30 minutes, talk about his shit.
Especially when you know he knows what he's talking, like he has proof in the pudding.
Because there's great video there and there's engagement.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I agree. I don't know. Even I think the Glenn from Pizza Tomorrow asked me to do, when he first did pizza, he's like, hey, you want to speak? And I'm like, nope. And he's like, really? I'm like, I'll do like a booth, but I don't want to speak because I try not to preach on the podcast. I'm like, hey, this is what I think you should do. But like, it's up to you. Yeah. Like, I don't know the direct answer. That's why a lot of people times when they ask me questions about marketing, it's like, this is what I think. Yeah. I don't know 100% if it's going to work for you if you do that. Yeah. And I don't want to be up there telling someone what they should be doing in their business and then have them look at me and be like, I did that and it didn't work. Yeah. Because it may not work for you. Yeah. So I don't want to speak like as a session person on there. Yeah. I just want to be like, I'll do the podcast. And if you want me to do like a panel where I answer questions, I'll do that and give you my opinion. Yeah, a little round table. Yeah, but I don't want to do a whole session. Well, I think it's important to be like, this is what has worked for me when anyone's given a presentation. But I don't own a pizzeria. Yeah, well, it's a little tough. Yeah. Then in that to take that frame. So that's like definitely me. It's just taking my perspective as someone who markets a business and has talked to a lot of people. Not because I haven't owned a pizzeria for a while. Like I'd have, but not for a while. Yeah. How many people have you met that said they were going to start a podcast? I don't know if there's actually been that many that said they were said they were going to start a podcast. Not recently. I think podcasts are tremendously hard to grow right now. Yeah. They're undiscoverable. It's like you have to have a following somewhere else. And then even if you have a following somewhere else, it's extremely hard to get someone to go from Instagram to download your podcast on Spotify or iTunes. It's so hard to just get discovered. So I think they're really hard now. When I first started in 2016, everybody was starting a podcast. It feels like everyone's starting a podcast now. You're late. I know. I am late as fuck. You're not late. If you're starting one in 2024, you're kind of late. Dude, well, I mean, I've had like 4 or 5 people through this journey be like, yeah, I'm going to start one of these, or like, I'm going to do this. I mean, this is not a fucking easy thing to do. It seems easy to just buy a microphone and start talking into it. It is. Yeah. I guess. Go ahead. But I don't think that means it's going to translate to anything. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think what your expectations are for the podcast is what? Low. Yeah, low expectations. Expect nobody to listen, and you have to like doing it. A lot of people have started a podcast about like travel or something they're interested in. And I'm like, if nobody listens to this podcast for a year, are you going to continue to do it? Yeah. And they're like, no. Yeah. You should not do it. Yeah. Because it's going to take a while, especially if like audio only is your only form. If you're not doing video, if you're not doing YouTube, if audio only is your only form of getting the word out there, it's going to be real hard to grow. Yeah. Once you do build an audience, like having us in their eardrums while they're walking or working or doing something is tremendous value once you get them there. Yeah. But getting them there is really hard. Yeah. What advice would you give yourself back in like 2015, 2016 when you started this thing? Fucking do YouTube. Yeah. I wish I did. I wish I went. So we're doing these videos now where I kind of go into a pizzeria and I kind of do like a semi-podcast while I walk around the pizza shop. Short video. I would have done that. Starting off like more of that. Done 100% that, not even do the podcast. Well, like with those digital mics that you can like get for your iPhone and shit now, it makes it so much easier to do content like that. I have a lav mic that I got that you just hook it up to my iPhone. So I bring my iPhone into the place, give them a lav mic, me a lav mic, and just go. Yeah. And the audio's good enough where you can hear, like, we're in a pizzeria because there's background noise. You would have needed some pretty expensive equipment in 2015 to do that though. I would have figured it out. Yeah. I had a business. Video, I would have been like YouTube. Your YouTube's it's pretty big, isn't it? No, it's like 4,000 subscribers. I mean, that sounds low in these days of numbers, but that's not easy to get on YouTube. I mean, the last couple of videos we did well. We did a video with Jeff from Jeff's Pizza. That got like 15,000 views. I followed that guy for a long time. He's a good dude. Seems like so nervous to do the podcast. He was so nervous. My wife was there because she was filming. She sometimes films if I'm like on camera. She'll film for me. Yeah. And she pulled me aside. She's like, "Dude, you gotta do something." He's so nervous. I'm like, I know. I'm trying to calm him down a little bit, but he's really nervous. But he was such a nice guy.
Yeah.
But that video did great. So I'm like, I would do more of those. If I had to do back 2015, be like, Bruce, YouTube.
Do you purposely not smile in those pictures with the operators?
Yes.
Like, dude, what is this fucking an NWA cover,
Yeah,
dude?
that's what I want to go for. I'm going for a
You're just like,
yeah.
Well, I was like, dude, I was like, man, that episode looks fun.
Yeah, that's what I do. I said, we do a serious face. I said, don't fucking smile. I seriously
I'm like, damn, dude, these fools looking hard, dude.
I seriously, because I wanted it to look funny. Because the guy next to me usually doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, smile on this one. And then we smile. My wife takes a picture of us smile. All right, now don't fucking smile.
This is the one I'm posting.
Yeah, this is for
this was not fun at all.
We're just fucking staring at you.
It was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I laugh every time I see them. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what did they talk about, dude? So you sold your shop in 2016?
Yeah.
Okay.
I sold my part of it.
Your share.
Yeah.
Your brother-in-law still owns 6?
No, two. No, one. He owned a business. I worked for him.
Yeah.
We partnered and then we bought another place. We sold that one, went back to just one.
Okay.
And then I left.
Oh, you were talking about how to get to 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I started the podcast. We wanted to open multiple locations.
So that's like almost 10 years ago. But I think like with your memes and your understanding of the pizza community, like a lot of the problems 10 years ago are the same problems today. And maybe were the same 20 years ago. Do you think those problems ever get solved? Marketing, customers, employees, like, is that just the downfall of the restaurant industry?
No, I think some will figure it out and some won't.
Yeah.
Like my wife's cousin called me the other day and he's like, hey, he's known that I've done this thing for 10 years now. And he's like, hey, he just called me last week. I need help marketing. I'm like, dude, I've fucking been doing this for 10 years. What do you mean you need help marketing? Why didn't you call me earlier?
Yeah.
Why'd you wait so long? But he's an old school operator who was like built his business in 1998 in pre-internet. It had a really good business.
Yeah.
Had average products, right? Like wasn't like going to be the best pizza. He wanted to be the best pizza business.
Yeah.
So he built his business that way. He hasn't done any social media. He hasn't really like done any marketing other than what he's been doing forever. And then what happens is all of these younger people come into their market and they like, all right, I'm going to make a really good pizza. I'm going to go for the best pizza. I'm going to leverage social media. And like all of those people are now competing with him. So he has to try to figure out a way to be like, all right, does this business model even work anymore? And if it does, how do I get more customers while competing with those other people when I know I don't have a better product than they do? So how do you compete with them? So I think the way that the future looks for the pizza industry is like making a really good product, trying not to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
And being okay with the fact that there is these third-party apps. I don't think those are going away.
Yeah.
Whichever one is
that's it.
popular now, try to figure out how to use it.
Yeah.
And then be the best at one thing and then promote yourself being the best at one thing. I think the days of when I was operating, like Uber Eats and DoorDash wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
You had your own delivery drivers. Not only that, but like if you wanted something delivered to your house food-wise, it was like Chinese food or a pizza shop.
Yeah.
Now, any place that serves food, you can get delivered. It's not just pizza or Chinese. It's like, do you serve food? I can get it delivered.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a fucking Slurpee and some Starburst delivered.
Yeah, and the younger generation of folks will do that.
Yeah.
They'll pay $12 to get
To not leave their house.
a Coke Zero delivered.
So they can just sit in the metaverse.
Yeah, and they don't even go to the door to answer it. They just drop it off at the front and take a picture.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to people.
So I think the people who are understand that in the way that the younger people live their life and then build your business or adapt your business off of that, I think you'll be fine. If you don't, you're always going to have the problems of people and customers and how to get more customers in the door. And should I post to Instagram or post not? Like you're always going to have those issues. I don't think those are going to go away.
Yeah. What do you think the 3 most important tools in running a successful pizza shop are?
That's a great. I mean, obviously you got to have like a good oven.
Okay.
Because you have pizza, you got to have a good
right.
oven.
And they have come. I mean, I got a Pizza Master. They have come very far in the past 10, 15 years.
Yeah. A lot of people have those Pizza Masters.
Yeah.
They seem to be very
Electric
popular.
is like really outdoing gas.
Somebody asked me that the other day. What about wood fire? I'm like, I don't know if I would do wood fire. It's very hard to manage.
Yeah.
Gas is probably that. So a good pizza oven, obviously you got to have a good product. I think accounting or bookkeeping, someone to do that for you is very underrated.
Yes.
Because even no matter how long you've been in business for, like that person can help you not only like organize your books, but like tell you what you need to do. I think an accountant, I think someone told me one time, like an accountant is just like a record keeper, right? Like he tells you what you did wrong. He's not going to help you work in the future to get better at what you're doing.
No, you need like a CP. You need
you need someone that knows business. Like
CFO.
when you get an accountant, like get someone that's like a planner, so they can be like, all right, this is what you need to do in the future, in order to minimize your tax burden and like leverage the money that you make, instead of just being like your accountant's just like, all right, here's my paperwork. He's like, all right, great, you owe all this money. Like, what the fuck? Where were you 6 months ago? Why did you tell me? It's too late now.
Yeah.
So you need someone like that's smart at accounting and bookkeeping, because they can save you a ton of money.
Yeah.
And then your fucking phone, dude. Your phone to do social media. That's the only 3 tools you need.
Yeah.
You have a good oven and a good product, a good accountant to the money you do make you get to keep, and then a good phone to tell people about it. Those are like the 3 most important things to me.
Well said. I agree. I would say maybe a POS system that doesn't suck.
You know what? I have so many people come on the podcast, and never once has someone been like, my point of sale system is unbelievable.
They've never said that?
No. They're always like, I like it, but I wish it did this. I like it, but it's not that great at this. So,
well, yeah, I mean, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, so I don't think you're ever going to find a point of sale system that's like perfect.
Is Hunger Rush still one of your...
No, Food Tech is now.
Okay, well, fuck Hunger Rush. Do not ever use Hunger Rush.
Did you have them?
Yeah, and it's a nightmare, and I'm like I'm getting out of the contract now, and they are not for the business. They are not for the people.
So Food Tech is a sponsor of my podcast now, and the reason
let's go Food Tech.
They're not for everybody though, but if you have a delivery takeout pizzeria, like you have delivery drivers and you do takeout, and you're like a more of a quick service place, they're perfect.
Yeah,
because they do. I used it. That's the one I used in my pizzeria, and this is the one we did like email marketing. They do text.
They do all that.
Yeah, and then they also like track your delivery drivers. Like you have an app with the drivers have that. So it's like, it's really good if you are that. If you're a dine-in, like a restaurant, it may not be the best one for you, because that's not what they do, like with tables and servers.
Yeah.
But if you're a takeout, they do a great job.
And is it specifically for pizza?
Yes.
All right. What important information do you think someone should know before contacting you about coming onto your podcast?
Do I take solicitations? I don't think I do. I don't think anybody that ever emailed me. Don't have someone else email me and be like, hey, Smart Pizza Marketing, I have this great guest for your podcast. He talks about yoga. Like, what the fuck? I do a pizza podcast. What do we need to talk about yoga for?
Yeah.
So I think...
Let's get relaxation.
Yeah, it is. But how can I talk about it on the podcast?
Yeah. No, I know.
Would anybody listen
yoga
to that?
Pizza.
I would say, don't.
Don't hit you up.
No. Maybe like let's engage on social media a little bit first.
Damn, dude. So because I hit you up and I asked to be on your podcast.
But I knew you.
Yeah, I get there had been back and forth before.
Yeah.
So to get on your podcast, don't hit you up.
I'll hit you up eventually.
All right.
Yeah. You can.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be like a dick about it.
Yeah.
But just because you hit me up on the podcast doesn't mean I'm gonna be like, yeah, let's
go.
do it.
Okay.
I need to research. I need to see what you're all about. Like, what's the angle? Am I interested?
Do you have any advice before, like, even if you're like, okay, we're on, I'm coming on to SPM, what don't you do?
Everything goes.
Anything goes.
Yeah. We don't do it live, so we record it. So
Yeah.
like anything that happens or you don't want to talk about, we take it out. But there's never really been I don't think there's ever been, maybe one time someone did the podcast and then emailed me the next day and be like, I don't know if I want to add that in.
Yeah.
But I think it was like numbers related.
Yeah.
And they were partners with someone and they weren't comfortable with me saying that. So I took it out.
Okay.
But if you come on the podcast, I just wanted to have a conversation. Ultimately, the goal for the podcast is like, if someone comes on, can they take away something?
Yeah.
Can they listen to the podcast for 30 or 45 minutes? And that's why it's that short, because I don't want to sit there for 2 hours with someone and have to take up their whole afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm not Joe Rogan doing a 3-hour podcast.
Well, I'm here taking up all your time, dude.
Yeah. No. For my podcast.
Yeah.
And then I want somebody to be able to walk away with something and be like, all right, I can go use that in my business, or at least try to use it in my business. So have like one idea if you come on my show that you can share that helped you, good or bad,
Yeah.
that someone else could listen to, that maybe we haven't talked about before. Because that's a good angle. If you've listened to all the podcasts that I've done, and like I didn't cover a certain subject that you think would be valuable, and that's what you did. You hit me up and you're like, hey, we should do a podcast about, and this is the second podcast we did.
Yeah.
We should talk about how hard it was to open this. I'm like, you know what? That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So I think if you are going to hit anybody up for a podcast, come at them with an idea that's interesting that they haven't talked about before. And I think you have a good chance of getting on there.
All right, my final question. Who's the greatest artist or band of all time to you?
Oh, wow. My all-time, oh my God, that's a great question.
Thank you. That's why it's the last question.
Dude, I grew up listening to Metallica a lot. I like Metallica.
Yeah. Wow, I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which
my first concert was a Metallica concert. I went to see Metallica, Pantera.
Damn.
Yeah. It was like a pretty good concert.
I bet it was.
It was interesting.
I can just see you fucking blazing down the 101 listening to Pantera right now.
I like Metallica. That's probably a good band I grew up listening to. They're probably a pretty good band that I liked. I mean, they had that whole issue with the whole.
Did you ever listen to Megadeth?
Briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as good.
No. And I grew up in the 90s. Like, I listened to a lot of 90s music. Like, Korn.
Hell yeah.
You know? Like,
Got the life.
Yeah. Who's other ones? The other bands. Like, a lot of the 90s bands.
Did you listen to White Zombie?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
White Zombie, the guy, Rob Zombie, actually grew up not too far from me.
Oh, I didn't know he's from Massachusetts.
Yeah, he's from Haverhill, Massachusetts.
Hell yeah.
His brother had a band too, wasn't it? His brother had a band. His younger brother had a band. It was Power Man 5000.
5000, yeah. That shit was crazy.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, dude. Now this is the question that I always ask that I stole from you. Where do we go to get in contact with you?
SmartPizzaMarketing.com. That's the home base. You can see everything over there. You get the magazine,
Get it all.
Yep. YouTube channel.
When's the next magazine come out?
June.
All right.
Working on it now. Well, I don't know when this comes out, but we're working on it.
Hopefully before June.
Yeah, we're working on it when we're recording this, and it'll be out in June. Every
Quarterly.
quarter. Yeah. So June.
Q2, baby.
Yeah. It's gonna be good.
All right.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, dude.
Appreciate it, man.